Hey everybody, this is Nick. Today we're going to be reviewing the Darrius Strong traffic incident. He was pulled over. He was suspected to have a warrant. So, he had an interaction with the police that he felt concerned of his safety, for his safety at the time. But we're also going to review a friend of his who's on CNN talking about her experience as a white female and her interactions with the police. So we're going to kind of see what they're talking about, and we'll have an open discussion about the situation. All right, let's see it.
Anytime I'm seeing a cop, my heart's dropping. This specific time, I didn't see the cop when I passed her, but she pulled up behind me and pulled me over. And right away, when she got out of the car, she took her gun out. You do kind of head into a fight or flight mode. Really, it's about how do you survive this.
All right. Kudos to this guy here, right? Well, notice a couple things. He's got that window tint going on, so you don't know what's going on inside the vehicle. She's suspecting him to have a felony warrant. He's got both his hands out the window, which is obviously always a good idea. She doesn't know if there's other occupants in the vehicle. All she knows is that the guy who drives the car may have a warrant.
When she walked up, I said, threw my hands out. I said, hey, at this point, I've seen too many of young black women die through the cops' hands. So I'm thinking like this can go any way at this moment.
Are you Darrius? No. Okay. Do you not got the warrant?
I have a warrant?
Yeah, you do. Why don't you unbuckle your seatbelt and step on out for me?
And they said, we're arresting you for a felony. So I get out of the car. They detain me.
This guy's pretty compliant.
And it took some time for them to realize that they had the wrong Darrius.
Shoot. This might be the wrong guy.
This picture pulls up, and this dude's a lot darker than me. He has a tattoo on his neck. Yeah, he looks
literally not you.
Like what? How do you? What? He doesn't look anything like me.
You are free to go. I am sorry.
What is the cop supposed to do? Let's just have a little talk about this, huh? What is that cop supposed to do in that circumstance? And I'm not here to judge, but I will definitely say this. I think that this police officer believed that he had a warrant. So she detained him to investigate whether he had a warrant or not, if he was safe to travel. Now, this guy doesn't have a warrant. She doesn't know that until she has an interaction with him. This is police work, man. It's like these cops should just stay home. Because when you do your basic job duties, you're going to get crushed. That's kind of the assumption I'm under here. You do your job, you're going to get just nailed. This lady, this police officer here, she's just doing her job, man. He matched the description, whether it's his vehicle or his ID and a license plate, whatever the case was, for whatever reason, this stop had to happen. But now she's getting brought under the, she's getting taken out back for it. And these opinions I don't think are valid in this circumstance because they were looking for someone with a warrant. So let's not to downplay that this does happen, but this particular incident is another one that it's just not true. He was pulled over for speeding. Police say another person had falsely used Strong's name during a prior encounter with police, which resulted in the arrest warrant being issued. Okay. So so there you go. So this guy's name was falsely used. So they did put out a warrant for him. But it was actually for whoever it is that used his name.
Could have been dead today. Yeah.
Well, you know what? The cop could have been dead today too. She doesn't know what you're doing, who you are. All she knows is believes that you have a warrant because someone else falsely used your name. And then you were speeding, made it a little bit of a ground ball. But she could have died today if the circumstances, were different.
George Floyd came in my head. I ain't gonna lie. He came in my head. Man, anything can happen to us, man. Especially as black bodies, man. Black people, black men.
There are.
So the narrative that's being pushed by this gentleman here, what I hear, okay, after interpreting everything through my filters, which aren't perfect, I get this idea that it's like it's okay if a cop dies, so long as somebody else doesn't die. And that is crazy, right? That's insanity. That's even an idea, but that's definitely something that a narrative that's being pretty much thrown down people's throats here.
Different ways that I am seen and that you are seen in a vehicle in Minnesota, in the United States.
Have you ever been pulled over by the police, and what was that experience like for you?
Okay, I have been pulled over by the police. I was driving home from work really late at night. She was like, driver's license. I like turned into the back seat and I was like, this is gonna be a minute. And grabbed my backpack and tore through everything. And then she was like, insurance. And I was starting to get really overwhelmed and I was tearing up and she was like, I'll give you a couple minutes. And she walked back to the car, like letting me just sit in my car. I reflected immediately after it happened for an officer to feel comfortable with my presence, to leave me in my vehicle, to let me have my breakdown, getting away with a warning. Every single step of the way of all of those interactions within that 15 minutes that should have been offered to a lot more people.
It upsets me. I think the way that makes.
All right, let's discuss this a little bit. I want to kind of get her on the screen, but so what she just said was basically that. She just said was basically that she was treated um, a lot nicer because of how she looks. She was less threatening. I'm sure that that's not it. I know that's not it. Okay, what it is why was she pulled over? What did they find when they ran her name? What time was it? All these different things are going on. Is backup readily available? Right? The threat level is different depending on how you ended up in that circumstance. So it's nice that she automatically reflects on her interactions with the police, but her situation and his are two different situations. On his hand, he's driving a car that's got an illegal window tint, and he has a warrant at the time that they pull him over for speeding. Why is she being pulled over? I'm sure it's nothing heavy duty, but if she had a warrant, it would be different. That's all I'm gonna say. It's,
makes me feel is I'm happy for you and your safety, right? But I just feel like in this world, this at this time, it's just doesn't make any sense to me. How comfortable some people feel with driving and being pulled over, and how I kind of always have to when I get pulled over, it's not about me being worried about getting a ticket or whatever. It's me worried about my life. Make sure you checking in on your loved ones, man. Check on your friends that shit that are black that are traveling in these suburban communities because they could have ended a whole different route.
I did watch your video that you posted.
I think that we need to have some of these social justice people go and work with the police. Literally, I'm talking. Go in there, go on your ride alongs, do whatever you got to do, see whatever you got to see, as many of them as possible, to really get that transparency going. Because it seems like people forget why you have the police there. They remember, and then they have amnesia and they forget. So I think that all these guys who are worried about, their endangerment and all this should just go out there and work hand in hand with the police and see what it's all about and remember why we need cops and public safety, like we always know why we need firefighters to fight fires. We always know why we need paramedics to respond to medical calls and EMTs. How can we forget that we need cops? You just watched the video yesterday of Michaela, whatever her name was there in Columbus, Ohio. There were 2 911 calls for the police to get there immediately. So they didn't forget. They just didn't like how it turned out. That was 100% justified. And everything here has been 100% justified. I think that they need to spend some time with the police to realize that the police is not a race. The police is not white or whatever race you think is oppressive. The police is just a government job function, a service that needs to be rendered. So these folks need to get out there and see what that's about.
Yeah, I watched it twice. Once to hear you, and the second one to like really hear you. It was almost as if everything that whole spring, this was building up, and then it happened to a friend, it really pissed me off.
For Dante Wright, he was 20, but he has a young boy, just a young kid, almost at 2 years old, approaching 2, just like me.
But also knowing that Dante was a traffic stop like yours.
Right, yeah. When I see the videos directly, it makes me angry once again. I see my brother, I see people that I love. It's affecting.
So go on Paco's Insight, because I believe we did a video on Dante Wright. Tough video. That officer there is the one that mistakenly used their gun for a taser. And I think that's going to be a tough case for either piece of it, really. Very, very tragic situation. Not a good situation at all. Just, yeah, it's pretty rough. It's a pretty rough situation. But let's continue on.
So many of us, even if you haven't been in the circumstance, I think that a lot of my friends around me, family, are been so affected heavily from seeing these videos. When you see it over and over again, you're seeing yourself.
I don't know what they expect here. CNN offered the responding officer who drew her weapon. She didn't draw her weapon down. Okay, I wouldn't call that drawing her weapon. Just because she had her service pistol in her hand doesn't mean that she drew down on him. Okay, she was just using officer safety because she's got seconds to decide whether her life is valuable when she gets to the car and he pulls out a gun. So I might have to take some time and review some of those videos for you too, so you guys can see what happens when it doesn't go so well. Obviously, she's not going to respond. She doesn't need to. She didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Naturally, she didn't do anything wrong. It's probably not what people want to hear, but that's a fact right there. And I think that we need to, as a nation and As different communities, we need to work together to figure this out. You got to go spend time with the cops. You got to go on your ride-alongs or whatever. Really get a good idea of why they're out there, and kind of see for yourself. And if you see something wrong while you're on the ride-along or whatever, make sure you document and record that. These are human beings. They're not perfect. You will have officers that make mistakes, and you will have officers who are dirty. It just is a fact, right? But that really doesn't sum up the fact that they're there to do a service. At the end of the day, they're there to perform a duty, and that duty is to protect and serve. So we should be active in that, and ensuring that this is getting done, that this duty is getting done. So I'll be in Paco's Insight later on, Paco's Playground channel. So we'll be going live over there, to be sure to check that out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Continue to have a good Friday. And if there's anything you want me to review, please let me know.